Once again, I am Edward B. Coulon Smith, chairman of the board of the New Orleans Region Black Chamber of Commerce. And each and every Wednesday, I thank each and every one of you for joining me on your lunch hour, your lunch break for Black to Business. And today, we have none other than author, chef, owner of Curated by Reagan, my friend, Miss Reagan Cindy. Miss Cindy,
Hello.
please tell the listening audience, who is Reagan?
Well, good morning, good afternoon. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to me to this space. I'm really happy to be back in at the home of where it all began for me. You know, this was the beginning uh, at WBOK, and so yeah. Hi, and what is it? What did you ask me? What does it mean
I
to
said,
be?
who is Reagan?
Who is Reagan?
Right.
Well, like you said, I'm author, chef, event curator, fundraiser, backroom orchestrator of connections. Um, but I should lead all that with servant of God and our country, servant of my family, and and of course my dog. I'm a dog mom. Um, I'm also an avid sports uh, lover, Michigan football fan, college basketball, but I don't really have a team. If it was to be anybody, it'd be Michigan. Um, I am a supporter of the Saints. I'm an unfortunate fan of the Cowboys, and I absolutely love the Pelicans, which again is a love hate relationship because they don't like to win.
Right. All right, so you wear many hats.
I do.
What are they, and which one do you like the most?
I think I love all my hats. You know, I'm a daughter. Many of you know my mother. Most of you ask me how my mama is doing before you even ask, you know, how I'm doing. So, she has found her way in some dust up again today. So, after I leave here, I'm going to figure that out. But I'm a daughter. My father and my stepmother are still alive and they're doing very well. So I'm very grateful to have very healthy parents, active, healthy parents. I am a sister. My brother is a contractor in Michigan. He does amazing work, and he has made me an aunt of four amazing sons. And so I don't have to have children. I have them in them. They don't let me forget it. And I'm a friend. I have an amazing friend group that is awesome. But then I'm also a businesswoman. So that's my other hat. I believe in wealth and trying to generate that. I don't know that I'm at wealth yet, definitely not, but am striving towards that. And so I am a businesswoman slash business, an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur. I do believe in starting businesses and making them work. So,
All right, so with that being said, how many businesses do you have and what are they?
I have one business.
Okay.
It is Eris Enterprises International LLC. Under that, I have Curated by Reagan, which is my curated arm. That's where I chef, I event plan, and I also make connections. So I only have one business, but it's a great one.
All right, so when did you start cooking and how did you become a contestant on MasterChef?
Okay. So there is the grand question. So I started cooking when I was a little girl. My parents, I was latchkey kid for a while. And so I started cooking because my brother and I needed to eat. And, you know, my parents bought food. They were like, we're not going to McDonald's. So don't know when I had McDonald's when I was growing up. And so, But then, it was never a thing. Matter of fact, I used to hire chefs because I did not, wasn't a cook like that. And then the pandemic hit. And so once the pandemic hit, my pastor, we were all, remember this is when we were all doing the Zoom calls, and he was like, he looked at me and was like, Reagan, through the Zoom call, you like to cook? Because I would take little pictures and stuff of my food, not thinking anything of it. But I guess that was the seed. And he was like, if you looked at everybody and it was like, if you guys want to change your life, now's the time to do it. If you want to do something different. And I'm like 43, 44 years old. So I'm thinking like, okay. Actually, it was like 42 because for the next 2 years, I went live cooking. And I got all this content, videos. This is kind of the beginning of like content and all that, what that content creation, what that means. And so then I'm like, okay, let's see what happens. Well, I said, God, you said you're going to change my life, and I'm still going to work.
Right.
I'm going to need you to fix that. And I promise you, about that day, I got a call from a young man named Devontae, and he said, and from an 818 number, and he said to me, hey, I think that you would be great on MasterChef. Why don't you apply? And I was like, we saw your videos online. That's how they found me. They saw my videos. Right. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll do that. So I did. And they brought, after months of interviewing and sending videos and da-da-da. And I will say this, and I don't always tell this part of the story, but I think it's super important.
Okay.
That I was here at the radio station. Many of you, you guys know, because the people that listen to WBOK listen to WBOK all day long. That I was on at 6 a.m. every morning for 3 years.
Wow.
And Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. And we, the professor and I did an amazing job of growing that audience. And we had a great niche, and it was fantastic. But I realized in this moment that if I kept the radio show, God was not going to open another door for me because it just wasn't possible.
Right.
If I kept holding on to old things, looking in the mirror, like, okay, this is done. It's clearly done. The professor's gone. I loved working with Kim, but it wasn't the answer, right? And so I was like, I'm going to have to quit. And so I did. And I quit on a Friday. And I didn't quit. I just was like, I'm putting in my time. Hey, this will be my last couple weeks here. I love y'all, but I got to go. I did that on a Friday. On Saturday, now mind you, I had been applied for a MasterChef, and it kind of was like lingering. I hadn't gotten a date. I knew they said they wanted me, but they didn't say anything else.
Right.
The next morning,
you got the call.
I got the call. And it said, come, you'll be here. You'll leave New Orleans on January 4th. You'll be here. Plan to be here for 6 to 7 weeks. Most of us are, sometimes you could be here longer. Just plan to be here for a couple months. I was like, well, praise the Lord. Okay. And that's literally how it happened. Get to LA, was there for, I think they brought in 80 people. Yes. So they brought in 80 out of the thousands that applied. Out of those 80, they brought 20 on the show that actually made it, got the aprons. If you watch the show, 20 of us got aprons. Out of those 20, I was number 4.
All right, number 4.
Yes. So I was a semifinalist. I was on every episode of season 13. If you haven't watched it, go back and watch because it's some pretty great stuff in there. Great content of me. And I just think, I'm just grateful. But I think, how do you get on a show like that? You follow the plan that God has for you, right? Like your steps are ordered, and you have to listen. Because if I not...
Can you say that part again about your steps being ordered?
Your steps are ordered. But you have to listen.
Right.
You have to be dialed in. And I think a lot of times we miss stuff because we're either overthinking or underthinking, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, he didn't mean it like that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, how else would he have meant it?
So not only listen, but you have to act on it.
You have to act on it.
You got to move.
Like, the guy called me. He was like, you should do this. And I was like, not should, gonna. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Will. Am. And I started working on my videos. I started working on my craft. Like, there were things that they were asking me for I had never done before because I'm not a trained chef. So I had to figure those things out. Practice. I learned so much. I've practiced so much. So when you come to my kitchen now, I don't just say, oh, that's the Trinity. Now, it's messing place. Like, it's things that are important that as a chef that I've learned because I was obedient in that moment and look at what happened. Even obedient 2 years before. Now, who would have ever thought that God would have set that up where my pastor would have said, hey, you like to cook, and it literally pushed me into my destiny.
Oh, yeah. So most people don't realize that prayer is when you talk to God.
Right.
And meditation is when you listen to God.
That part.
So you got to listen.
Yes.
And if you have a whole bunch of noise and a whole bunch of clutter going on in your life, guess what you can't do? You can't listen.
You can't hear.
So at times you got to steal away, as they say. I do most of my listening in the shower or most of my meditating when I'm sitting there on the throne. And a lot of people be like, hey, really?
A lot of people do.
But that's when you will have your deepest. Your quiet, your most quiet time. That's when you got to listen. And then you got to adhere to what he tells you and what he guides and instills you to do.
Yeah, agreed.
So if you want to join the conversation or be a part of the conversation, please phone in or dial in at 504-582-9422. And if you don't call in, you're going to truly miss out. Because, when is the next time we're going to get a person such as Chef Reagan sitting here with us to answer your calls, to give you some insight on whatever you might have in your mind that you want to make your next move or your next step on.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people don't have that little person that's going to give them that nudge. There are a lot of people who inspire. There are a lot of people who motivate. And we're sitting right here live and living color today with a said person.
Yeah.
So, Ms. Reagan.
Yes.
How is Reagan Sidney and curated by Reagan involved in a local community?
Oh, wow. So I'm very active in my church. Well, let me say this. When they call, I answer. I used to be extraordinarily active, but now my life is very busy. But I'm also in the back rooms. A friend of mine and I were having this conversation about politics and how what I do as it relates to that is very important. I don't always am in the front of the camera when it comes to decision making, who's running, who's doing things. I'm always kind of not always, but very often in a room where we're talking about how do we support certain people who run for office. That is my reasonable service because I've had countless people who have ran for office, and I've been a part of their team either through churches or through taking them to churches or through fundraising. I've even done calls. I've done all the things, but politics is an area that I tend to spend a good amount of time working on. I remember my first major election was when Jason Williams ran for DA the first time.
Okay.
Not this last time where he killed and blah, 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 blah. But I mean, and even though I did a fundraiser, I did a meet and greet for him for that. But the first time, and it was just me and him and his brother, and it was like 5 of us, and we were tearing this city up. We didn't miss an event. We didn't do anything. I remember it being such a great experience. Now, no, we didn't win that one, but we got great name recognition. Right. We were able to get out there, and I think on the boots on the ground, people do not realize how important local elections are.
Oh, yeah.
They are the most important. I have not missed a local election, I don't think, I know not since I've been here, but ever in my life. And I think it's because I realized at an early age, both my parents ran for office.
Okay.
When I was a kid back in Michigan, and they ran because they realized how important, again, boots on the ground, people in the room. You have to, if you don't know what's going on, you can't be a part of the process.
Oh,
and that's just learning yourself on little things that happen.
So you've said boots on the ground several times.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't realize that boots on the ground is the same thing as grassroots.
It is absolutely the same thing.
Everything in the black community has always been grassroots.
That's right.
It has always started grassroots. And until we get back to grassroots and the things that grassroots bring to our community, we're gonna keep going in the spinning
And
cycle.
we're still going in the spinning cycle.
So,
Exactly.
with that being said, I think we have a caller.
Okay.
Right now, caller, you are on the air.
Hi, Reagan Sydney, and
Hey, man.
this
She's
is
so
Cynthia
nice.
Sydney, Reagan Sydney's mother.
Oh my
Hey,
goodness.
hey, mom.
She's so happy.
You know what? The blessing of all of that
Oh
is
my God.
Reagan grew up in politics.
Just,
Okay.
I
I ran
lied
for
to say
county
that.
commissioner, and she was in the big time parades, and she used to stuff envelopes and knock on doors and do all of that. And the same thing with the food situation. My mother-in-law was Governor Edwards' chef.
Mm.
And I made sure my children grew up in Michigan. I'm originally from New Orleans, born and raised, 7th Ward. And I made sure she came to New Orleans every summer and saw all of her aunts, Aunt Sheila, Aunt
Oh my
Juanita,
gosh, Mama.
watch them cook. So Reagan Sidney, she was from a legacy of people who believed, my Uncle David did Pontchartrain Park, who believed in giving back to the community. So I just thank God for you guys inviting her. And everything she said was true.
All right,
God
Mom.
bless y'all. I love you.
Bye. I love you too, Mama. Bye.
Bye bye.
All right, Reagan. Tell us about upcoming events for Reagan Sydney and curated by Reagan.
So I don't have anything for public consumption right now.
Okay.
I'm not doing any pop-ups or anything like that. If that comes, check my website. I will definitely, in my Instagram. If you don't follow me on Facebook or Instagram, please do so. It's curatedbyreagan.com, curated by Reagan on Instagram, on TikTok, and on where else? Facebook, Instagram, all of that, all the stuff.
Curated by Reagan.
Curated by Reagan. And also, I have right now we are working on holidays. So any businesses, offices, if you're looking for catering, we are thoroughly immersed in the catering area. We are doing very well. And also, and the last thing is meal preps. So I think this is probably the most important
Yeah, it
area that most people don't understand and are trying to kind of wrap their mind around. So let's say you go to lunch 4 times a week, or you go downstairs, or you whatever that looks like. You're probably spending between $150 to $200 a week on food. Most people do. And you're probably getting whatever they have. It's probably fried. You don't know how it was cooked. You don't know how it was prepared. And so my employ to you is this. If I were to cook you lunch for 4 days out of the week, that is between $60 and $80.
Okay.
Okay. That same amount of money, that other $100 you can put back into your pocket, and you know that you're getting something healthy. I don't use butter. I use very little salt, only to taste, and I make sure that I use fresh products. All of that comes, and then for those of you who are vegan or vegetarian, I make vegan and vegetarian food. I make healthy foods, and I also have one cheat meal a week for you guys. Some people get one. Everybody is supposed to get one, unless you're cooking for your family, which you get two. And it is a cheat meal. But
Okay.
it is a cheat meal,
So what
not
is
a whole cheat
meal?
day.
What is a cheat meal?
So the cheat meal is usually something that your grandmother would make. So I think this week I did stuffed peppers,
Okay.
macaroni and cheese, and potato salad. Like, that's only one day,
Got it.
folks.
So with Thanksgiving approaching,
Yes.
what Thanksgiving meals or prep do you do for the listening audience?
So I do catering for that day. We do fried and smoked turkeys. We do fried turkey, smoked turkey. And then I have one client who just loves my baked turkey that I roast in the oven. He orders it for every holiday.
Okay.
So, but he's the onlyest one, because I only got so much space. And then I do seafood dressing. I do a regular dressing, macaroni and cheese, potatoes, sweet potatoes. I do all the staples.
Yeah.
Right now we have availability for one more family, and because right now I already have two families I'll be cooking for, including myself. So it's gonna be a busy week, but I'm excited and I love that. And those of you who are coming in town, I have space for one more brunch on Sunday. My Saturday brunch is full for what is it called? Bayou Classic.
By your class.
So I'm already doing one brunch on Saturday. I have availability for a Sunday brunch, and I have an evening event on Saturday. Um, I am here to work. I want to be full. I want to be full. So when I take my vacation at the last week of December, I can enjoy myself.
Oh yeah.
Holla at your girl.
So, what are some of the biggest challenges you face, and how do you keep going?
Whew. Um, you know, the biggest challenge so far was I took on Zulu this year as a caterer, and that was the biggest mistake of my life.
Mm.
And I learned my limitations. I learned, you can't fight life. Like I have a person that works for me every day. He comes to my house literally every day just to make sure everything is taken care of, or if I need something, or if he needs to go make a run or whatever. And he had surgery. And so I didn't have my person who would have normally been there.
Got it.
So all kinds of things happen. I mean, when I tell you, if it blew up, it could. But I also learned that even if I had him, I still shouldn't have done it, because it was an undertaking that I am not equipped for.
Gotcha.
So I think the biggest thing learning in business is learning your limitations. I'm very good at under 100 people. When I start getting over 100 people, I have to, one, either keep it and outsource it or share it with somebody. And I have some great people that I work with.
Gotcha. So, what advice would you give someone looking to start a business such as yours?
Mm. I always say this, and this is super important. Always have a backup plan to your backup plan.
Mm.
Because your backup plan to your backup plan is probably going to fail too. So you have to know, like I have a full-time job. So I work for a law firm. I enjoy doing what I do. I'm very blessed to have the job that I have, because I also be able to do more than one thing at a time. But had I not had that backup plan, I don't know that I would have the lifestyle that I have. And if you like your life, you also have to have a backup plan. That's the
Gotcha.
period.
All right, what legacy do you want to leave as Reagan Sidney, and also as curated by Reagan, in this community and the surrounding areas?
The legacy that I want to leave is that I want people to remember me as she just loved God and her people. And she was kind and fun and smart. I want to be known as a woman who really thought about it and made choices for her community that served it well. I believe that it's super important to, put God first and give him the glory in whatever you do. And then, and he'll direct the rest of the path. But I think that even as Christians, sometimes we get a little harsh. And so leading with kindness.
Oh, yeah.
And showing people that, just because, you're right doesn't mean you have to be right and loud. There's a lot of things that happen. We're in a very weird space in our country right now, very unsafe. A lot of people feel like they're not heard or seen. And so giving, especially these young people, opportunities to be heard, to be seen, to be used. Speaking of which, I need to call that girl. She wanted to work for me this weekend. But also to be given and showing kindness. We live in a society right now that people are just mean.
Right.
and angry, and so showing not just through words but through deeds,
And action.
kindness.
Right.
You know.
Okay.
Hmm.
So you served as the Sisters of Ceremony
I did.
last week
I
for
did.
the New Orleans Region Black Chamber of
I
Commerce,
did. I did.
the Phenomenal Woman Empowerment
I
Conference.
did.
And the reason I use sisters instead of mistress
Yeah.
and instead of master and all those kind of derogatory terms that we
Yeah.
learned when we couldn't speak for ourselves.
Come on.
When we had those people over us that had us to use those terms.
Yeah.
So that's why I use sister of
I
ceremony and
appreciate
things
that.
of
I
that
didn't
nature.
understand it at
Yeah,
first, but I got it now.
So with that being said, and you being the Sisters of Ceremony,
Mm-hmm.
how was it? I mean, you brought a lot to the table. You brought
Mhm.
a lot to the event. So how did you see that event? How was it?
I thought it was fantastic. The room was full, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that you thought about it. Like you thought about the areas that we really needed to hit, and I love that. I thought that there were some really powerful women in that room, and I hope that I was able to really give back to them. I don't want to speak. I don't like to preach down to people,
Right.
but speak to people, and I think that I was able to do that. And I'm grateful for the opportunity. So again, thank you publicly. But I also think that there's so much room for that event to just grow and be
Right.
amazing and like really have some punch to it. A whole day, whole weekend type situations where we just give back to each other and pour into each other and love on one another as women and powerful women, phenomenal women.
Right.
Yeah.
So with that being said, we're coming to a close to this show.
Okay.
Sister Reagan,
Mm-hmm.
how does it feel to be a phenomenal woman?
Mm.
And do you have some closing remarks or closing words for the listening audience?
Sure. So it feels called. I have today's Word Wednesday, and so I was talking about Samson this morning and how he didn't lose his power to the enemy. He lost his power to his carelessness. And so to be a phenomenal woman in this time is to be very intentional about what we do with our power and how we use it for good. And again, kindness and in love. We are about to embark in a time where people won't have money for food. And now, while that may not normally be my audience, the Lord is speaking very clearly about how we need to find a way to connect to each other in this time. And so finding ways to give to our community and to love on them is an act that I am excited to be a part of.
Right.
Somehow, some way. So if you hear me and you're doing something and you need something, please allow me to be a part of that. And you all know how to get in touch with me. Curated by Reagan. info@curatedbyreagan.com is my email address, or you can inbox me. I do respond to inboxes all day long as I have time. But I think being phenomenal is a calling. Right? It's not just a moniker. It's a calling. It's something that that I should and we should be doing something, and not just for ourselves, but for our community.
Okay. So and let me with the New Orleans Region Black Chamber of Commerce and the listening audience as well know that how we can assist and how we can help with you in partaking with the undertaking you about to take upon with this feeding thing.
Yeah, well,
So let us know how we can get involved.
I absolutely will. And I like I said, I'm not sure where it comes or how it's going to come, but I know something is going to have to be done.
Right.
Right. And a lot of that is also on us to get in touch. Obviously, we're in an area that has a Democratic representative. So our representative is not the one that's holding things up. Our senator is, again, knowing the process. Our senator needs to be at work right now.
All right.
Our congressperson needs to be at work right now. We need to be calling our senator to tell him to get out of the chair and go to work.
All right. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. We think that is the end of our show, but we'll see you next Wednesday on Black to Business. And if you want to be a part of the show, if you want to be a part of this movement, if you want to be a part of everything said and done with the New Orleans Region Black Chamber of Commerce, I can be reached at norbcc.chairman2025 at gmail.com. Thank you and see you next week.